Welcome and thank you for joining in. This video is a complete detailed introduction to all the key features in Yearbook Pro tailored to advisors and also users of the software. We'll work our way through the software in the same manner as the user guide and provide information on best practices for creating your yearbook, a lot of tips and tricks, and some detail on use of all the major tools. This is the brand new version of Yearbook Pro for the 2023 to 24 season, so I'll also point out the new features along the way. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Before you start your yearbook, you should have already received a URL for your login page as well as your username and password. If you don't have that information, you'll need to check with your publisher, your school, your yearbook provider, whoever has that information. If you just forgot your password, click on Forgot Password and you'll be instructed to reset your password. Okay, so let's go ahead and log in. And when we log in, the first page that we always see is the activity page. I also refer to this as the main dashboard in the software because that's really what it is. This is what everybody sees when you log in, and it's a jumping off point for all of the other functionality in the software. So let's just walk through this page from top to bottom. Okay, obviously your school name is going to be right up here, and then you have some helpful links that are here all the way through. Clicking help will provide you, first of all of the warnings and so forth that are in your current book. This book is in process. We've got a lot of stuff going on. As we work through it, we're typically going to want to clear out all of these warnings. So we'll talk about this a little bit later as we go through. We've got a current status on the project. My project is always in proofing just because it's a demo site and I reject it, cancel it, reject it, cancel it. So this message is going to be different for you based on the actual status of your project. And then down below, you have a link directly to the user guide. This will open the user guide in a new window. The user guide will open to the section of the user guide that corresponds to the part of the software that you're actually in this case, the activity page. And then you can flip through online, you can zoom in, and things like that. There's also a PDF version of the user guide that's available. And then you've also got your support contact information right here that's put in by your yearbook provider. Okay, so go ahead and click OK to close that. Next to that, we have video help. This will just pop up a tutorial video that's unique to each page. One of the things I always like to tell people is the first time you're ever using the software, log in, click on video help, navigate to the next page, click on video help, the next page, video help, and so on. It's a really great way just to get kind of grounded on what's happening on each page of the software. And then finally, we have, of course, logout up here. This could be your logo up here. And then over to the left, we've got primary navigation and then secondary navigation here. Primary navigation, this bar is here on every single page of the software. It's always right in the same place. And these are the main pages of the software. So we're on the activity page, dashboard page right here. Down below that is the yearbook page, also known as the yearbook ladder page. Next, we have the photos page, which we call the manage photo page as well. Users or manage users page, the sales page, and then the configure page, which we also call the advisor configure page. That's an advisor only page. Okay, so we'll look at each one of these as we go through. Over here, we also have links to other pages in the software, but they take you a little bit deeper. For example, if you log in, you just want to add your clip art, click right here. This will take you to the photos page with the clip art tab opened up. Okay, so these are just a little more direct shortcuts. To the right here, we have the preview. This is a current preview of your book in progress. Everyone that has a login, regardless of user permissions, can log in and take a quick look at the book. You can also navigate by page numbers down here. Okay, you can zoom in on pages and things like that as well. Okay, so this is just a quick snapshot of where things are at. Over to the right, we have a yearbook info box. This has your due date as well as today's date, and then it does the math for you right below that. It shows you your book spec. In this case, I have 2 covers active. This book's going to be both hardcover and perfect bound, and I'll show you that in a little bit. This book can have a maximum of 120 pages. We've used up 63 so far. And then this book will be 200 hardcovers, and for some reason, only one perfect bound cover. You're going to want to verify this before you submit. And this is all controlled by your yearbook provider. They put this information in when you set up your book. To the left here, we have progress. These are just a kind of a quick snapshot of where you're at. Just a progress meter. These little statuses here, each one is color coded on the little meter over here. And these statuses refer to actual Pixami yearbook ladder status. And so pages that you create that haven't been started yet are called not started. Once they've been checked out, people start working on them. They become in progress. In this case, 95% of this book, 60 pages, are in progress. They get marked complete for an advisor to look at, and then they get approved by an advisor where they sit and wait for the rest of the book to get approved. And so in this case, I've actually got 4% of the book. 3 pages are approved, reflected over here in green. As you move through the season, if you're working on your book, you should see green and green and green just start to increase along the way until you have a big green circle, which is an approved book that you're ready to print. Okay, cover to the right works exactly the same way. We allow you to submit the cover and the pages independently, okay, based on the requirements of your provider. Okay, down below that, we have coverage. Coverage refers to photo coverage or student coverage. And we talk about photos in terms of portraits and candids. Okay, in this case, we've got 126 portraits have been uploaded. 37 of them have been flowed onto pages, which means 89 have not yet been flowed onto pages. When you finish your yearbook, you want to make sure that this is 0, which means you want all of your portraits, every single student, flowed onto a page in the book. Okay, the software will even provide a warning if you try to submit your book, and this isn't 0. Okay, candids, same thing. We've got 90 candids uploaded, 24 have been used so far. And so this is just important to take a look at and keep track of along the way. New this year, we have a detailed coverage report. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit more when we get to photos, but the software automatically tags candids this year. Every single candid photo that is of a student that has a corresponding portrait, the photo will automatically be tagged with the name of the student. And so what that means is this year we have 100% accurate coverage report. I can see every single student in the school that has a portrait, the number of times they appear in the book, and the pages that they appear in the book. This includes all of their portraits and all of their candids. The coverage report is important because I can look and see who's the most represented in the book and who's the least. I can sort by the number of times used. And so here, Jacqueline Ball in this case is used 15 times in the book. She's been in the book more than anybody else, followed by Carol Bass and then Nathaniel Avila. If I move all the way down here, I can see I've got a whole bunch of people that still haven't appeared in a single photo in the book yet. And so this is important information. You can make a PDF of this. Okay, and if I make a PDF, I've got to pull it up right here. Okay, so here's a quick PDF that you can print out. And why is this important? It's important for equity. It's important so that students are more equally represented in the book. It's important for sales. You want to make sure that everybody's in the book at least once so they have incentive to buy. It could also even be used for marketing. Imagine if you promised parents that every student would be in the book exactly 3 times. Well, with this new technology, you can do that now. Okay, and so that's the coverage report. And again, this is made possible by the new face matching and auto tagging technology. I'll jump into that a little more description when we get into the photos page. Okay, so that's the coverage report. Really, really cool feature this year. Also brand new is a calendar feature this year. What this calendar feature allows you to do is keep track of important events, okay? These events could be school events. For example, we have a football home game today at 6 o'clock. I could assign somebody to go photograph that for the yearbook if I wanted. Also this week, I've got online yearbook sales to begin, and then I need to send out a yearbook sales email along with launching that storefront. Okay, so the calendar is a really great way to keep track of everything that's happening in your yearbook as well as at your school. Okay, if I click on edit only as an advisor, I can come in here, I can view the calendar, I can create new events. And so let's say I wanted to make a new event, and let's just call it a math club. Okay, a math club meeting, and let's call it a yearbook activity because I want to send somebody over there to maybe interview the math club and take some pictures. And then I'll just go ahead and put the date in here. Okay, it's on the 18th, and I'll click it OK. And so that's going to be showing up into calendar. See, we already have another math club meeting as well. They changed the math club meeting. So I'll come in here and I can come in and go ahead and just say this fit has been completed. Okay, so that one's gone. Okay, and so all of these events are live. You can update them throughout the season. Again, only an advisor. The admin, which means your yearbook provider, they can also put important sales and marketing dates and also due dates. And so, the due date for the book will automatically show up in there as well. And so, again, just a really great way to manage the book a little more effectively as a project and kind of wrap the yearbook around all of the other activities at school that are important. Okay, so that's the new calendar feature. Down below that, we have to the left an activity log. This has always been in the software for quite a long time. I can see everyone that's logged into the yearbook and basically what they've done, the section that they've worked on and so forth. If you go to the user on the users tab, which I'll show you later, you can get even more detail than that. Okay, to the right of this, we have a support box, and basically this little support section has your contact information, and that is placed in there by your yearbook provider. And so this should be the email and the phone number that you call when you have questions that can't be answered through the documentation and the help videos and so forth. Okay, so that's the support section. And then finally, over to the right, we have the messaging box, and the messaging box has two parts to it. Down below is a message from your yearbook provider. Your yearbook provider can put helpful information in here and push it out to you, deadlines, due dates, customer support information, and so forth, okay? You can't modify this information, but you might see things in here and, pay attention to information that pops in here every once in a while. Up above this, as an advisor, and again, only an advisor, we'll get to that in a little bit. As an advisor, you can type in this message. So advisors, you can type in assignments, messages. You can use this basically just as a memo board. You can change it anytime that you want. Students, when you log in, you should always take a look at this message box to see if there's anything that you need to know here. Okay, and I think that pretty much covers it for the main dashboard, the activity page. Next, we'll go ahead and take a look at the yearbook ladder page. This is the yearbook page, also known as the yearbook ladder page. On this page, you'll use a yearbook ladder to set up your book initially, organize your book, make assignments to individual editors, and it's also where you'll check out different sections to edit your book. And so the yearbook ladder is pretty central to the entire project. A yearbook ladder, I guess because it kind of looks like a ladder right here, is a traditional way of organizing the yearbook. It's also pretty universal in the yearbook industry and across all yearbook software. So basically, here's the way that it works. The book is broken into sections. In this particular case, I have two covers. For example, if you wanted to have a hardcover and a perfect bound cover to sell at two different price points. Okay, then below that, 3 pages, beginning at pages 1 to 3, I have an introduction section. I've got a portrait section, which is 20 pages. I've got an academic section, which is 10 pages. And you see as I move through the ladder here, it pulls the section into view over here in the section view area. Okay, and so that's essentially the ladder. Okay, I'm going to switch and show you a yearbook ladder planning guide here if I can find it. to dive into the concept a little bit more. So a yearbook ladder, it just allows you to break down the book into different sections. We have a yearbook ladder planning guide that you can get, and it gives you kind of some basic ideas on how to break it down. And so, for example, a table of contents, a dedication section, student portrait section, sports, clubs and organization, academics, faculty and staff, and so on. And so basically, you can kind of do this on paper initially and just kind of plan what your book's going to look like. It helps you figure out how many people you need to work on the book with you, who's going to work on what, and as well as how big is the book going to be, how many pages do you need, so forth. And so again, the ladder is really central to the project. And in this little guide, you can see it's just a little table that you can fill out to help your planning. You can also do this in Excel. You can do it on the chalkboard, all kinds of different ways. But it is helpful to do this offline before you jump into the software. Okay, once you get into the software, you can just transfer your ladder into the software in sections, and then people can start working on it. So let me show you how to do that. Right up at the top here, you see we can add a new section to our book. Okay, if I click new section, I can give it a name, and let's call this section field trips. Okay, and let's say we'll make it 10 pages from now. Remember, anything that I do, I can always change here. Okay, so I'm building some structure, but I can come back, I can change the number of pages, rearrange my book, and so forth anytime that I want. Okay, so I've got a 10-page section called field trips. I'm going to give it a due date. Okay, this is optional, and we'll make this due on January 12th. And then I can also assign this section to a staff member. So I'll assign this to, the only one I have so far is Elisa. Okay, so she's allowed to edit a section. Next here, I can choose a theme for my section. Okay, themes are built into the software. And there are probably about 25 themes or so in the software. And so now what I'm going to do is switch gears real quick and just show you the content guide. This is also a companion to the software that's important. So we'll just flip through it for just a second here. The content guide shows you all the themes plus all of the other content clip art elements fonts that are available in the software. I think it's 140 pages or so. And so if we flip through this, you can see we've got the themes. And so artistry theme, okay, awesome 80s theme, capture the moment theme. And so this is a pretty handy guide to look at, again, when you're kind of planning. And so, if you want to have the software create these nice templates for you where you can come in and adjust elements and, change things around and customize, just a really good head start to get a really beautiful, professionally designed book. Okay, so take a look at that content guide. And now we'll come back here to the software. We've already been building this book with the artistry theme, which is why it came up when we started. And so it's going to suggest that I use that for the new section, which I'll do. Also, one more thing I'll point out is we can also choose no design. And so if you are a professional designer, a parent that's helping you, has an idea for some pages that they want to do, you have all of the tools to completely design all of your own pages on a grid and replicate your page designs throughout the book. And so advanced way to use the software is absolutely available to you. If you're not, if you want a really good head start, choose a theme and you can adjust everything here along the way, which I'll show you. Okay, so with that said, we will click OK. And now we have a field trip section to our book. It's 10 pages long using the artistry theme, and it's page number 68 to 77 right now. Okay, I don't really want it here. I want it up here right after academics. And so I'm just going to drag and drop it and just put it right there. Here we go. Now I've got field trips after academics in my book. You can see if I click on it, it shows the new position in the software and it updated page numbers here. Okay, and so that's essentially how you're going to construct your book using the yearbook ladder. So a little bit more about the ladder. Why is it important to break the book into sections? It's helpful for organization, as I've already mentioned, but it's also helpful for collaboration. Okay, as I showed you, I assign this to one individual student. You can have multiple people checking out these different sections in the software all at the same time, logging in individually, even from different locations, and working on the book simultaneously. And so collaboration, especially in a yearbook class environment with multiple students, is a really great way to use the yearbook ladder. Okay, expanding on this, the other thing I'll say, I've seen lots of books with one-page sections, and you can assign it to this one particular user. Okay, and so then you can have, for example, 30 elementary kids all logging in at the same time and creating their own personal page for the yearbook. Okay, so just an example is there's a lot of different ways that you can use the ladder. Just remember, it's key to the structure of the book, and you'll be spending a lot of time here as you move through the project. So let's move on to now we'll talk about the status column. So you understand that we've got different sections, we've got different people assigned to sections. Potentially lots of people could be working on this at any given time. And so the status becomes really important now, okay? There's 4 statuses in the software. In progress means that this section's being worked on. It's not being worked on right now, okay? But it's in progress. It's cruising right along. This next section, the perfect bound cover, has been marked complete. This was marked complete by the designer, and the designer is waiting for the advisor to take a look at it. This section here has been marked complete, and then it was reviewed by an advisor. Okay, so this section is essentially finished and it's locked. The only person that can open this section up and continue working on it is an advisor. Otherwise, this section is considered to be complete. The goal of the project is for each section to be edited, worked on by a user, marked complete, and then reviewed by an advisor. Once all of the sections are reviewed, then you can submit and you have a finished book. Okay? And so when you log in during the project, you're going to see all kinds of different statuses here based on what's happening with the project right now. The next status we see down here is checked out. This is being worked on by somebody right now. If I click on this and I look over here, I can see that it's checked out by Kaylee Lee right now. Okay, there's nothing that anybody else can do about it while Kaylee is working on it. Okay, and so she can go ahead and check it in, and then if anybody else is assigned to this section, when they see it in progress, they can check it out again. Okay, so that's a little bit about status. Next up, we have the Actions toolbar over here to the right. So we'll take our section that we just created here called Field Trips, and we'll go through each one of these settings. Okay, first up we have Info. This is just the information about the section. These are the users that are allowed to edit the section. There are also editors and advisors that have automatic permissions to edit the section as well. Okay, last thing you'll see is a little comment field. I can come in here anytime I want and type in a comment and click Submit. Okay, that comment becomes part of the history of the section, which is right here. So you can see I created this section, we moved the section, and then we made a comment. And so every section will have a history of everyone that's worked on it right here, and then you can also communicate here as well. Next up, we have the preview. The preview is a preview of the book, and it'll open to the section that you clicked on from the ladder. So this is just a big empty section at this point. Next over, we have settings. A lot of the functionality that's available here under the settings icon are only going to be available to an advisor. So if you're a staff member, you don't have all of these settings available. So just be aware of that if you don't see this. First up, we have the settings dialog, and this just allows you to rename the section. You can add pages. If I want 2 more pages in my field trip section, I can go ahead and add 2 more pages right there. And if I want to update the due date or assign to staff members, I can do this. The color is literally just for the ladder. And so the software picks the next color automatically, but you can choose one if you like here. Okay, and so that's basically modify the section. Next up, we have organize pages. Okay, we showed you how to organize a section just by drag and drop. You can also organize pages within the section here through drag and drop, or you can delete pages as well and click OK. Okay, every time you do a delete, the software is going to make you approve. So please just pay attention to the dialogues. Don't ever try to click past important stuff like that. So next up on the settings, let's come back here and look at split. Okay, I can also split a section in two. And so all you need to do here is choose the first page of the new section. The new section will start right there, and I click OK. And now I've got field trips split. So I've got two sections. Why would you want to do that? Maybe I want to have a field trip section and then maybe a Halloween section after that that's separate. Maybe I want to have two people working on this. So now I can assign this section to one person, this section to another person. Maybe I just didn't need so many pages for field trips and I split it off and I'm going to use it for something else. In that case, I can come in. Whoops, in that case, I can come in here and just rename the section. Okay, so that's how split works. So again, the book can take shape as you go, and all the features you need to organize are available right here. Next thing you can see now below that is merge down. Merge allows you to merge two sections together. We'll just merge these back together. Okay, are you sure you want to merge field trips and field trips split? Yes. So I just merged those two sections back together. Easy peasy. Next is duplicate. This is a pretty cool feature that duplicates the entire section, including the design. And so it's a really neat way to build your book along the way. So if you build a really nice design and you want to use it for clubs and then academics and so forth, you can copy the section here. Next up, which we will do, is delete. You can go ahead and delete the section. Again, pay attention and confirm. No going back. So there you go. Okay, so that's settings. Next over is the checkout for editing icon, the little pencil icon. This is actually how you check out this section into the editor. So we'll come back to this in just a few minutes here. The next button over is Mark Complete. Mark Complete is available to all the editors and staff members on the software. And basically, the purpose of this button is to say that you're finished with your section and you want an advisor to take a look at it. And so let's see how this works. If I go ahead and mark this section complete, are you sure? Click yes to mark the section complete. The section will be locked until it's been reviewed by an advisor. So I go ahead and click yes. This section becomes locked, which basically means that there's no editing icon. Okay, so this section cannot be edited anymore until the advisor takes a look. Okay, so the advisor will come in here and click the next button over, which is PDF proof. The PDF proof comes up and gives me the ability to generate a low-res, on-screen, watermarked proof of this particular section or any and all of the sections in the book. Really, really handy feature. It's low res, it's full color. You can print it out to a laser printer or anything you have available anytime that you want. You can mark it up. Great way to proof the project along the way. Okay? The advisor will look at that proof, and then the advisor has a couple of options. Now you can come in here and mark it reviewed. Okay, it looks great. It's absolutely perfect. There's no spelling errors. There's no missing students. Everything's great. It's wonderful. It's done. Mark it reviewed. It goes into a reviewed state and it's finished. It's waiting for all these other sections. Okay, more likely though, initially, you might want to reject the section with the comment. And so you can type whatever you want in here. And from an advisor standpoint, the whole goal is just to oversee the project and provide guidance to individual users. They might be students, they might be parents, whoever's helping you design the book. So if I click OK now, this comes back in progress. There should be a little red dot here, you guys, and there will be a little red dot really, really soon to show that there's a message in here. And so what happens, this user comes back in, it's in progress, they see a little message, they come back in here and they see the note, and then you see they can check out the section again, and then the process repeats. Okay, and so that's a pretty good look at how the status works and how you kind of move the project through and oversee as an advisor. But again, it really depends. There's so many different ways to use this. Hopefully you'll see that, and with one or two designers it would be different than with 30 designers. Okay, and so that is how the yearbook ladder works. Down below is a proofing history. This is only showed once you started proofing. Okay. And so the last thing I will talk about is the final submission. Okay, once all of your sections are reviewed, you'll be able to click the submit button up here. If you click it right now, you'll see that it tells you that all of your sections need to be reviewed. So once all your sections are reviewed, you'll click submit, and there's a process here that's going to be unique based on who is your yearbook provider, your yearbook publisher. You should talk to them. They will probably have already discussed it with you, the submission process for your book. But essentially what happens is you'll be asked to review a proof, sometimes maybe a printed book. You'll step by step and review it, and then you'll approve it in the software. The software will lock, and it'll be moved off to print. Okay? And so that's the final submission process. And that really covers it, I think, for the yearbook ladder page. The last thing that we will look at is let's go edit our field trip page. Okay? So I'll go ahead and click checkout for editing, and then it launches you into the editor. This is the page editor, which we also refer to as the advanced design page. This is where you edit all of the pages of your yearbook. At the top, you can see that I've opened the field trips section, and it shows you the page numbers here. So I'm going to go through a little bit of a tour of the page, and then we'll kind of go through feature by feature and start building some pages. Okay, so first up, we see we've got a big live preview of the book right here in the middle. Okay, and then over on the left, we've got all of our different design tools, and they're organized in tabs. Everything on the left here is just drag and drop onto the page. Okay, so we'll start over here and we'll just kind of work our way through. The first tab that we see here is the themes tab, and you'll see that the artistry theme has loaded. We chose the artistry theme when we created this section, and so that's going to load here automatically. Just like on the new section dialog, when we created the section, you can also view all of the different themes here that are available. You can even drag and drop and change the theme on the page if you want to. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and click undo up here and put it back the way that it was. Okay, back to the artistry theme. You can also change pages within this theme to get the design within the theme that you want. Okay, so we've talked about it already. Themes are just a really great way to start. And as you'll see along the way here, there's also a lot of flexibility here. So you can really customize and make these their own as you get more comfortable with the software. Right here is a little theme info box. We also saw this on the new section dialog. And this, again, gives you a description of the theme, and it gives you all the different components that were used and the recommendation from the designer and so forth. And again, this is also in the content guide. So let's look at the Layouts tab. The Layouts tab really just contains image and text frames. And so the way a page is constructed, we've got backgrounds. And if you see, I've got a big watercolor splash here and here. That's the page background. On top of that, as another layer, I've got a layout. The layout contains image frames and text frames, and all of the different attributes as well. So in an image frame, I can actually have an attribute of being black and white or having a border or something like that. In a text frame, we can have text, font, style, settings, colors, and so forth. Those are all built into the layouts, okay? So layouts are really for designing your own pages. You can change the layout on top of a Pixami theme, but really layouts are for constructing your own pages more from scratch, and they're available in all kinds of different grids and styles and so forth. Okay, so a little bit more of an advanced feature and something that you probably want to look at. And then also backgrounds. Backgrounds go behind the layouts again, okay, and just have some kind of unique content. You can just drag and drop and replace the backgrounds. Backgrounds are available in lots of different categories and subcategories. And again, it's loading watercolors now because that's what's used in my theme. And so I can come in and change out some different watercolor backgrounds and stay within my artistry theme here. And moving on down, we'll go to Candid. Candids are my candid photos that I'm going to flow into the yearbook. And if we look up here, the folder organization, candids are organized according to sections of the book. That's kind of default. That's best practices in the software. Every time you create a section on the ladder in the book, it creates a folder for you with the intention that you'll fill it with photos. So you see, we've already got a bunch of photos loaded here in some different folders. We're in the field trips section, so let's go ahead and load up some photos to use in our field trips folder. I'll simply click add photos. Just some stock photos of yearbook that I'm going to use. They're already organized. I'm just going to select a whole bunch of them and let it go. Okay, and so what's happening here, you'll see it's uploading the photos rapidly. It'll use up as much bandwidth as I have available, and you'll see the size of the photos, and you'll see each as they're complete. You'll also see error messages here. If there's a photo that doesn't meet the spec, if it's a PDF file, a TIFF file, you'll get an error message here. Okay, so we uploaded a whole bunch. Do you want to upload more? We'll go ahead and click on no. And then you can see over here, I've got all my photos. On the Photos tab in the software, there's a lot more functionality for uploading and organizing, and you can take a look at that over there. So now we've got a bunch of photos for our field trip section. And the first thing we can do if we want to just drag and drop, start filling these empty image frames. See, this frame has kind of a brush stroke, nice edge effect. Okay, so I can drag and drop into all these empty image frames. Or if I want to, up here, I can click autofill. And I can fill all of the photo frames and it'll just keep going in this section until it runs out. Or I can just fill the empty ones. I'll go ahead and replace all of them. We'll just reflow everything in the book. Okay, so now it just fills them in order right through the pages. If there's a particular photo that I don't like the placement, I can drag and drop with a different one and replace it. Okay, over here on the left, you'll see check marks. Right before I did that, she had one check mark. Now she has two. Okay, the check marks represent the number of times that image is flowed into the book. Okay, so you want to pay attention to that. Next, let's take a look at this image toolbar. Okay, this represents all the different corrections and adjustments that I can do to this image. So let's just start here and we'll work all the way through. The first one is crop. I could probably be better if I came in and cropped her, centered her. You can zoom in a little bit, move it around exactly how you want it, and click apply. Very, very easy. Undo and redo are right here. Always very handy to go back and forth with any correction that you do. Okay, so that's crop. Next up is borders. In this particular image, we already have a shape loaded in, which we can see here, and it's showing me in the borders that already have a shape. And so this one's a little bit unique. So we'll start over here and look at the edges. Okay, so she already has an edge applied, and it's one of these sketch effects right here. We can come look at this, and we can change to the different effects just by selecting it. Okay, and then we've got all kinds of other effects, bubbles and Polaroid effects. And these are really cool. Some of these go right along with the themes. Some of these are really great when you're getting creative and designing some of your own pages. So lots of different edges that are here. And again, they're built into the text frames, as was the case with this image. Okay, I can apply any of these, click done, it'll apply to that. I can click done and I can apply this to all the photos on the page, which is pretty dramatically going to change the look. Again, I'm going to undo that and I'll come back into the borders. Okay, so that's edges. The next thing we have is borders. If I don't want that shape, I've got all kinds of other shapes that I can apply to the image first of all. So I can make it round, I can make it triangular and so forth. I can add a border to the image. Okay, just by dragging this, I can change the width. If I click on this little color icon here, I can change the color of my border. I can build my own color palette down here. The way you do that is select this little eyedropper and we'll move around here. Let's say I'll move over here and take this pink from her backpack. Okay, so that's the pink that it's showing me here. And if I want to keep that pink, I can select the paint bucket to put it in there. And then I can select one of these little spaces to keep it. And my color palette's already pretty full. I've done a lot of work here, but let's just put it there. So there is the pink that I just selected. And I'll click OK. And then I can also apply this border with the pink from her backpack to all of the images on the page. Okay, so again, completely different effect. Really, really simple to do. I am going to undo that. Okay, and so that's borders. Up here is really simple. Rotate, flip horizontal, flip vertical, undo, undo. Okay, and then we've got 90 and 15-degree rotations here, little quickie rotations, and then you've also got a custom rotation where you can type in anything you want here, and then also you can undo, reset the rotation back to 0 in this little menu here as well. Moving along, we have colorize feature. And so on the colorize feature, I can apply a color to the image. So simply pick from the palette. You can pick from your own custom palette, click OK, and you can apply that to an image. Okay, and so that's the colorize feature. Clear color will just clear any color that's in the image. And then next up, we have effects. Okay, and effects have all kinds of different basic effects, so brightness and contrast, for example. And the way that this works, this is your image, your current image, and this is showing a thumbnail of the effects of the feature. So this shows what happens when it's auto-fixed. If I click it, it applies it to the image. This shows with the brightness and contrast, and then I can go lighter, lighter, less and more contrast. And then we've also got sharpen here. I could sharpen more on the image. We've also got effects over here. Okay, the duotone effect, I like this better most of the time than the colorize effect for images. A bunch of different options for duotone. And so come take a look at that. You've also got blur. Okay, I can undo all these effects too. I can revert the image all the way back to the beginning. Other things in here where I've got blur, I've got pixelate. I can make larger and larger pixels and so forth. Okay, and then I've got a posterize feature. Okay, and so that's a cool little editor, and that's also new this year, most of those effects and so forth. Over here to the right is delete, and that'll just delete the photo, not necessarily what we want to do right now. And then finally, we have more advanced features. I'm going to get to this as we start to customize this page, but everything under this little down arrow is a little more advanced and really helps you customize the pages. Okay, next we'll go up to text. So let me show you what text looks like. I can select any text box, and I've got text toolbar. Again, the layout, the theme already has a font selected. Typically, the way the themes work is we've got a heading font, we've got a subhead font and a size, and then we've also got a caption, and then there might be also special features, fonts, and things like that throughout the theme. That's typically the way that they're going to be set up. Okay, so if I come into this heading font, first thing I'll do is click on the T icon, and I can see that it's Quicksand 48. Okay, 250 Google fonts built into the software. They're organized according to sans serif, and then serif, and then title fonts, and so forth. You can come in here and type your new title into here. Okay, you've got font size controls, styles, alignment. You've got, this is line spacing controls. You've got a spell checker right here and so forth. And then simply apply to the text box. And that's how easy it is. You can cut and paste when you have big blocks of caption text and things like that. Okay, the next feature over here is color and border. And so I can change the text color, first of all, so I can come in here and just choose another color from the palette. This is the same palette, so as you start to build your own custom palette here, you can use it throughout the section for various borders, text, and things like that. So we'll go ahead and change the color of the text. I can add a border to the text box, and see there's a little preview here of what my text box is looking like kind of in real time. And so there's a 5-point black border. Maybe I'll make that a little bit lighter. Transparency, I can fill it with transparency. Let's make it like 50% transparency and make it pink. I can add a drop shadow to the text. I'm not going to go that far this time. And then I can also adjust transparency of the drop shadow. Okay, we'll go ahead and apply this. Okay, so you can see all of the different things that you can do in the text box. This one would probably look a little bit better if I centered and centered. Okay, but again, undo, undo, undo. Okay, next we have rotation, exactly like the image rotation, flipping and rotating, delete, and then again, the more advanced features that we'll look at in a little bit. So there you go, images and text. If you're a novice designer and you want to start building really great looking pages, flow in your images, crop them as you need to, develop your captions, type in your titles, and just work your way through the book. Okay, and that's how it works. And you'll get beautiful looking pages with minimal effort, and hopefully it will be fun as well. Okay, let's continue and let's see how else we can start embellishing our section. We'll skip portraits. We're going to come back to that in a little bit. And let's move along to clip art. We've got thousands of pieces of clip art, all kinds of different subjects. You can search when you need something very specific. But if you go one step further down here, we've got elements, and elements are a little more modern. They're more contemporary, and there's all kinds of different elements that are useful across all of the different themes. Okay, this particular theme called artistry uses watercolor blotches throughout. So let's show you what happens here. I can drag one of these watercolor blotches, put it onto the page. I can drag it, move it around, grab it, size it. And then look at this. One of the cool features that's on this down arrow here is layering. Really, really handy feature. I'll send that to the back. Okay. And so now I can just frame my heading inside this. I can position it. Okay. While we've got this element, you'll see I've got rotation up here. You'll see I've got the same colorize that we already looked at. You'll see that we've got delete, and then it's also got some other cool stuff here. For example, transparency. Tone that element down a little bit, make it blend like a watercolor would probably be a cool idea. Okay. And so that's elements. These are really, really great to simply embellish your page like a pro designer. Everything we've seen so far is should be, at least I hope, pretty simple, relatively straightforward, whether you're a designer or not a designer. The page is starting to look pretty good. And so if you continue on this path, as I've said, you'll have a really good looking yearbook. Okay, so now if you're starting to get comfortable with the software and you want to start customizing your own pages, or even if you started with blank pages and you want to start to build them from scratch, let me show you how you can go a little bit further with the design. And remember these undo and redo up here. These are always here for you. So don't be afraid to experiment a little bit with all the other tools that are available. So the first thing I'm going to do is select this frame, drag a corner, and note that I can start changing the size of this image frame. I can change it and I can fit it into a space. Okay, I can even move it over and overlap these a little bit. It's already behind, okay? And so we've got this layering control that would allow me to bring this in front of these, or in this case, it actually looks better behind. The layering controls are available for everything. They're available for image frames as well as text. So I can move an image frame here, okay, and bring it to the front. I can come and do things like, come back in with the text color here and make it white. And so you have a lot more control over all these different elements that are built in, and you can grab anything that's part of a theme and start moving it around. Okay. The other things you can do here, we've got add image frame and we've got add text frame. Add image frame gives me a new image frame right here. I can drag it, I can position it, and then I can drag an image from over here to fill it. Okay. I'll show you another little trick. I can also just drag an image to an empty space on the page and it does the same thing. Next up, I'll show you up here is a grid. And so if we turn on this grid feature, I can show the grid. I can show the rulers, which are here. And then I can show the granularity of the grid, 1/8 to 1/2 an inch, and then snap to the grid. Okay, so when the grid's on, I can come in and do things like this. We'll get this text box out of here. We'll just delete it. And then we'll come up here and I can just drag this image frame. It'll snap right to that other image frame. Okay, and then I can come in here and I can drag another one and do the same. And pretty easy just to snap it right into position. and make everything line up on that grid. Okay. Another thing to do is come in here, multi-select. Holding the control key on Windows, I believe it's the Apple key on Mac. And if I multi-select all of these, I get another menu called multi-select menu. And I get some different things that I can do to multiple images at a time. For example, I can apply a border. Okay, apply a border, a color to the border, and that apply that to that entire selection of images. I can also come in, I've got duplicate. I can duplicate these images and again align them to the grid over here. This right here is alignment. I can align the centers of those images. I can align the rights, tops, middles, bottoms. I can make sure they're all the same width. I can make sure that they're all the same height and so forth. I would probably do something like this, just so these guys aren't covered up. You'll also see that you can multi-select text boxes. So I can select two, and again, I will get the ability to adjust font characteristics, borders. I can duplicate this selection. I can do alignment and delete. Okay. Another little really nice trick here, drag and just grab. So click and drag, grab keyboard keys, delete. I'll undo that. Also keyboard controls, Control A, that's select all, delete. And so a lot of the keyboard commands work here. Select all, and we'll go to the arrow, nudge. I'm nudging everything by one little increment. And obviously you can do individual elements or a whole selection with keyboard. Okay, so try out your favorite keyboard commands. So now we've got a pretty nice looking custom page here. I probably want a text box or two here. I can click add text, adds a text box. And I can come in here, I can duplicate this text box and put it over here. And again, you can align these to the grid and so forth, okay? So let's say this is a page that I'm starting to like. And I want to replicate this page throughout my book, okay? The next thing you'll see up here is Save Layout. This is a nice feature for a designer. If I click Save Layout, I can save just the right side, just this page design. I can save just the left side, or I can save the entire spread, okay? I can include the background with the spread, which I think I will do here. I can include the text if I want to, okay? We'll go ahead and include the text. And then I can give it a new category, okay? And so we'll just call this 2024 layouts. And click OK, and click OK. What does it say? The page design has been published as a new layout on the Saved Layouts tab. And that's the last tab over here that we haven't looked at yet. We've got the Saved Layouts tab, and we've got a bunch of different folders here of our own favorite custom designs. 2024 layouts, we just added a page design here. So what do we do with it? We go to the next page here, and I can just drag and drop it. Everything that's already on this page will reflow. And see, this is a carbon copy of the spread that I had before. And again, I can continue and I can use all my features to adjust it and change it around. But you can see, you can start to develop your own style. If you had, a book that you did in some other software last year, you can recreate it here. You can save these layouts year after year. Next year you come back and use the software, these will still be here, okay? So for advanced designers or people that want to expound on the standard layouts, it's a really, really cool feature. So that is Save Layouts. Last couple things we haven't looked at up here on the top are we've got a background feature. Again, on the backgrounds tab, you've got all kinds of different backgrounds that just slide in there behind your design, and you can change them anytime without affecting anything else, okay? You can colorize the background. You can adjust brightness of the background. Maybe you want to lighten that up a little bit. You can do that. You can flip the background. and so forth. And then I can also just clear the background, or in this case, I've just got completely white pages. Okay, so that's the background tool. Let's look at a couple of other advanced design features here. So first thing I'm going to do, we'll use this image. So I'm going to come in here in this image. I'll come into the borders, and I'm just going to remove the border, make it easier to see. And I'll click done here. Okay, and then let's just drop a couple of other images in here. Okay, so now select this image, click on the down arrow, and duplicate. Simply just duplicates the image. Locks the image. If you lock the image, then it's locked, it can't be moved. And you can also lock multiple images together. Okay, and it locks them down onto the page and it locks them together. Okay, so no one can do anything with this image. If you lock them together, when you select all three of them, then you can move them. So that's lock. Another cool one is fill page. So fill page, I can take this image and I can go fill page, send to back. Okay, it'll make that image the background. I can also go fill spread, send to back, and make that image the full background. That's a little bit bold, so maybe I'll come in here and I can adjust the transparency of that image as well. So you see another way to get another really nice effect, just having an image be the background. And while this image is still selected, I can come in here and delete it as well. Okay, last little thing that we'll look at here is we've got image info. Image info, really cool feature with face matching. It's not shown on this particular image because it's a stock photo, but check in here and you'll automatically see the names of all the people that are in this candid photo. If they're a student, they have a portrait, their names will just be displayed right here thanks to the face matching technology. Let's look at a couple more things. Another tool up here at the top that we haven't seen yet is called Add Shape. If you click Add Shape, you get a dialog here and you can select a shape. You can adjust the border. Again, all of the same controls, the border, the color, the fill, the drop shadow, and so forth, and then just apply the shape on your page. The shape can be moved around, it can be dragged and scaled, and so forth. Okay, and then the shape again has some controls up here on the toolbar. Next, let's start diving into some of the warnings. You can see here, first of all, that we have a light gray and a dark gray border on your pages. The dark gray border is trim. The part that is dark gray is actually going to get cut off in production. And so that's 1/8 of an inch. You don't ever want to put anything in this dark gray area unless you want it to crop off. There might be a good reason to crop an image off. You know, it makes a cool little design feature, but there's never a time that you want to cut text off. So you'll see when you put text into this area, you're going to get a warning. And then the inside here is a safe area. This represents 1/4 of an inch. And this is an area that could potentially get trimmed. It's too close to have elements on the page unless you want to have them cut off again on purpose. Okay. Down below, you see I've got some little info boxes here. This is actually cursor position, and this is in inches on the page. So XY coordinates shows me the position of my cursor. This is the frame position. So this is the actual frame position, X and Y coordinates. And then this is the frame size. I click on this and change the size of that image frame. Okay, and this is really nice when you're working with a grid, and especially when you're building your own layouts and things like that, and you want to be precise. The last thing we're going to look at here is the preview. The last icon here up at the top gives you a preview of your current section. Something that's important about this preview is it actually takes off the dark gray trim. And so this preview is more accurate with respect to what you'll see on the printed page. If you're worried about something potentially being cut off, if it's cut off in the preview, you're probably going to want to adjust it. Okay, again, with the preview, you can navigate through by page numbers and so forth, and you click X to close it out. And finally, up at the top here, you'll see that we have cancel and exit and save and exit buttons. The software is also unique from other software in that we are always saving all the time. You don't have to click anything to save until you're done. Okay, so what do these two buttons mean up here? Cancel and exit is going to erase all the changes that I made since I checked out this section. Save is going to commit your changes to the section, which I'll do now. It's going to go ahead and close us out of the section and save all of our changes. It'll give me any errors and things like that. I don't have any at the moment, and then it'll take me back to the yearbook ladder. Now let's take a look at flowing portraits onto your pages. Typically, I would do this in the portrait section. That section's already kind of full, so let's go ahead and choose field trips again, and we'll check it out on the ladder for editing and open up the advanced designer again. Okay, now we'll go to the Portraits tab, and we've already got our portraits loaded up, okay? There's a process for importing all of your portraits using your PSPA index file. So now what we can do is kind of determine where we want our portraits. Okay, you can mix and match portraits and candids in a section. You don't have to flow portraits all the way through. Similarly, you can flow all of your portraits for the entire school in one big section, or you can flow individual grades into individual sections. You can organize it really however you'd like. So I'll just show you how we can flow a couple of classes into a single section. It's also a good idea to know about how many kids you have per class. I've got about 22 or 24 in there, and I'll show you why this is helpful. So to start flowing your portrait pages, just come to the Portraits tab, click Portrait Wizard. The first thing you're going to do is select your portrait folders that you want to flow. Like I said, you can just work on one class at a time. You can work multiple classes, okay? So we're going to flow grade 7 and 8 into this section. So I load those up just by dragging them to the right, and I click Portrait Wizard. The Portrait Wizard allows you to save settings of all the different controls, and so you can load them up and apply them to all your different portrait pages throughout the book. Really good time-saving feature. It's always going to ask you to load your settings when it launches. So here's what we've got here. There is a basic version of the Portrait Wizard. If you switch to basic, you'll see kind of a subset of these features. We're in advanced mode now, and I'm going to go through advanced mode in detail. Okay, so first up, we've got portrait settings. Portrait settings are just rows and columns. Okay, that's what it's all about. We've got text settings for any text on the page. We've got flow settings, and flow settings are how you handle one class to the next when you're flowing multiple classes. Help and info gives me some important info down here. For example, I have 61 portraits in 2 folders. I need 3 pages with the current portrait settings. Well, what does that mean? The current portrait settings are 6 rows and 4 columns, okay? 24 kids per page. I need 3 pages, okay? So the next thing I want to do is decide where I want to put these portraits. So this is the current page I'm on. And then these are all the pages of my section. So I'm going to keep the first spread here, and then the next one, and then I'll start right here, and I'm going to click apply. Once I click apply, it's going to lay my portraits down on that particular page. And you can even see that it's updated the page here as well. Okay, and now I can start to fine tune. So I've got a 6x4. What if I went 6 rows and 5 columns and tighten those up a little bit? One of the things that's important to look at this point with multiple classes is that for multiple folders, where do you want the next folder, meaning the next class, to go? I've got it set on the next page. And so what happens is I float all that class, and you see I ran out because that class fits in a 6x5. Okay, there's 22 to 24 photos, and so I've got 30 spaces here, and so it fits just nicely. I could also have it flow on the next line, and so you can see that class, the next class starts here. You almost never want to do that unless you're going to flow 2 classes on the same page or something like that. But it's important that you kind of understand this feature, okay? If I want to flow it on the next photo, it's going to run 2 classes together. The only time you want to do that is maybe you're putting all kindergarten together or something like that, okay? Most typical, flow it on the next page. So right now I've got this class on this page. This is grade 7, okay? I can change the font here. I've got all my 200 fonts here, and I've got, font size, style, color, and things like that all here. I can adjust the name position here. Name position can be on the outside or it can be on the center below the portraits. One thing I'm seeing now is I've got a couple of errors here, okay? These errors are also, the text for them is down here. Not all named text will fit with the current settings. So when I move these images below, I've got a couple long names here that won't fit. A couple ways I can fix that. I can change font size. Okay, my goal is to get all those warnings to go away. One of them fit better, but not both of them fit. I can drop it down to 8 point, then that name fits. Or I can put the name on multiple lines. If I put the name on multiple lines, it's going to take up more space for my portraits, but then I can have bigger names here. Okay, the goal is to make sure all those warnings go away. Notice that you can also put other things here. I can drag a job title over there and put the name on 3 lines if I want to. Okay. So a lot of flexibility here. I'm going to put the names back to the outside for my purposes. So the other things we can do, portrait settings over on the left, I can have a margin. I can make a bigger margin here. I can add a little candid collage up at the top or something like that if I want to. Okay, I can also have a bottom margin for the same thing. Okay, teacher portraits are in the same folder. If you have a teacher denoted on the photos page, then those teachers automatically flow into the first positions if they're in this folder. Okay. The other thing that you can do is you can have a large teacher frame. And if I have a large teacher frame, then I can flow the teacher into this large teacher frame. Okay. I can have multiple large teacher frames. For example, a teacher and an assistant teacher. And the more columns I have, the more teacher frames I can have. Okay. So I only have 2 teacher frames right now. If I went to 6 columns, I'd have a 3rd teacher frame I could add. Okay. So I think I have the portraits the way that I like it. I'll do one more apply just to make sure I've updated all the settings. And then let's continue. I'll go to the next page and I'll apply. Okay. I know that this is the beginning of the next folder. And I also know this is grade 8. So I'll make that quick change there and click apply. And then there's more photos in this folder. I'll go to the next page and click apply. How did I know that? Because it told me that I need 3 pages. Okay. So if you look down here, I've got grade 7 and then I've got grade 8. So I like it. I think it's done. I'll go ahead and click OK one last time. I'll come out of the portrait wizard. If I made any changes to my settings, I might want to update them right now. I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay. And so here's what we've got. We've got grade 7, and then we've got grade 8, and then we've got grade 8 continued over here. So that's a quick couple of portrait pages. Now here's the other things you can do that are pretty cool. In grade 7, we've got 30 slots here, okay? But we didn't need them all. I can do things like this. I can come down in here and maybe select these 4 students. And again, multi-select by using the control key, and I can delete them. I can make a space here. Everybody flowed. These 4 flowed into these additional spots, okay? And just everybody moved along to make space here. And then I can come over here and maybe I can put some kind of an element. So there's all kinds of things that you can do now with your panel pages. You can mix candids into them. You've got all of your font control here. You've got all your image control. You've got your borders control. You've got your edges. You can even do things like this and apply effects to all of the portraits. Okay, so have fun with that. Use the portrait wizard to automatically lay everything out in columns and rows. And then you can continue using all of the other candid functionality that you're familiar with to really make some spectacular looking portrait pages. And that covers the portrait. So we'll go ahead and save and exit out of here. And the next thing we're going to take a look at is the photos page. This is the Manage Photos page. This is where you upload and organize all your photos, as well as custom clip art in preparation for flowing into your book. The first thing I'm going to do in this page is take a few minutes and show off our new face matching technology. This is brand new in the software for the 23 to 24 season. It really is game changing, and it's kind of inherent in the software now and throughout the photos page. And so we'll start there and go through this, and then I'll backtrack and go through all of the other features. And one thing I will have to point out too, I have to blur these photos for privacy, but it shouldn't affect the demo. You should be able to see very clearly how this all works. Okay, so first up, I've got some portraits that I've already uploaded. So those are on the server now. And so what happens is the software senses once your portraits have been uploaded, and then the face matching technology automatically turns on. Okay, it turns on server by server, and it starts analyzing the faces in every student portrait, okay, and generating a database of unique facial characteristics, and then it assigns those to the names, okay? Very much like a fingerprint database. And so now what we have is a database that's got the face and the name of all the people. So next, what the software does is it starts reviewing all of the candid photos that have been uploaded to the software and matching the faces of the portraits with the faces that appear in the candid photos, and then it's able to display the names. So if you see, I've got a bunch of candids that are already uploaded for the school as well. I've got a little green icon on the thumbnail, and if I mouse over it, it shows me the names of the people who are in the photo. Okay, in some cases, like over here, I've got 5 faces. It shows me 5 faces here. Then I click on this little eye, which is the preview info icon, and I can see a larger preview. Okay, up at the top of this dialog, it says auto tagging. The names below are from recognized faces in the images. Okay, so these 5 names were added to this photo automatically in the background overnight. Nobody had to type them in. If you see, each face has a green box over it, and if you mouse over it, it'll show the corresponding portrait so you can confirm it's the correct person, okay? Behind the scenes, the software has a factor built in that tells us how certain we are, and so the green is based on actual certainty that the software has that it's the right person, so it's extremely accurate. If there's a mistake or something like that, you can click on the edit button here and you can change the person's name. So let's go ahead and move through. Okay, as we move through, you can see each one of these students are named. You can see their corresponding portrait. Over here, we've got a yellow box, and then if I mouse over, it says unknown. Maybe this person isn't a student. Sometimes there could be a side profile or a mask or something like that that prevents the face from being detected. In that case, you'll get a yellow, unknown, software's uncertain, and again, you come in here, click edit. You can type in the name of the person, or you can also just ignore this person in the photo. And in that case, it turns blue, which represents manual tagging. And so then you can type in the person's name over here. And it's important to know that you can also type in manual names over here, okay, for people that might be in the photos that aren't necessarily in the portraits, okay? And so that's how it works. Pretty amazing stuff. It's going to save you lots and lots of time this year. No more manual tagging of photos. Okay. Another nice feature that's available with face matching is search. So you can now search on candids and portraits. You simply type in the name in the search bar, and it'll pull up names from the database. Click search, and you'll find all of the candids that have that person that you're looking for in them. Okay, another nice time-saving feature thanks to this technology. Let's just spend another minute talking a little bit more in depth about this technology. I want to get out in front of any privacy concerns, objections, and things like that, because this is a brand new technology and might be a little bit concerning to some people. So let me try to ease some of these concerns. So first of all, the face matching technology only uses name and photo data that's already been provided for the purpose of saving time and improving accuracy. So without this technology, all the same data, faces and names, would still be available in the software, but the only difference is you'd have to type them in manually. So there's really no new data that's being generated here, and all the privacy is the same as it's always been. So really, we're literally just replacing an existing manual process with technology. Does exactly the same thing, except automatically, and again, with a lot more accuracy. Okay. Also, the technology is internal to the yearbook software. It's inherent in the software. This technology is pretty widespread at this point. It's embedded in most mobile devices, it's in browsers, it's in numerous photos and related apps, search engines, social media. So it really is a part of everybody's daily life at this point. Our implementation of the technology is based on code that's already been utilized and proven in the mass market. We fine tuned it for yearbooks. And so it's been thoroughly tested for accuracy, performance, and security in the real world. We're the first ones to offer this technology in the yearbook market, but I really think this technology will be universal in the marketplace in the near future. And with that said, let's look at the rest of the photos page. First up, we'll look at candids. Okay, you can see that we have folders for the different candid photos that are in the software. The folders are organized by default according to the sections in the book. So when we made a section called field trips, it automatically made a folder called field trips. So kind of the whole idea and the best practice is to fill up the field trips folder with photos that you'll flow into the field trips section of the book. Okay. So that's kind of the out of the box way that's provided for you when you set up your sections on the ladder. In addition to that, you can also click on new folder and create your own photo folders. Okay, so there's no reason to stick to the standard structure. You can certainly customize and expand it in a way that works for you. To upload photos into our new favorites folder, we'll go ahead and just click the upload button. The uploader appears. We can click add files, and we just happen to have a folder of all of our yearbook photos organized right here. So let's just go ahead and I'll just select all and I'll click OK. Basically what you can see, I've got 63 files, 544 megabytes, elapsed time remaining. It's going to upload them based on the amount of bandwidth you have, more than one at a time. The basic file format is RGB, JPEG, or PNG files. So those are fine. The time you want to use a PNG file, if you're uploading clip art, you have a transparent background, things like that. Other than that, RGB JPEGs are the typical output of a digital camera. So there's nothing else you need to do to support files, and you can just upload right into the software. This year, the software also supports HEIC files from Apple devices. Okay. You can also see a toolbar along the top of the photo contact sheet here with some additional functionality. So let's take a look at this. We've got select, select all, select use, select unused. Okay, so I can select all the photos that are used in the book. I can select all the photos that haven't been used in the book. Okay, pretty handy feature. I can deselect them as well. Okay, I can copy photos. So let's say I want to click a couple of photos here, just click to select, and I can copy them into a different folder. Okay, I can also move them into a different folder. Okay, I can delete them and I can edit them. Go ahead and select a photo and click edit. And it pulls up an edit photo dialog. So right here in the middle, we have a preview of our image. Over on the left, we have some different corrections, and the thumbnail actually shows the correction. Flip horizontal, for example. Okay, flip vertical. I can crop. I've got full undo, redo, and then revert to the original image here. If I click on the adjustment tab, I've got some more basic adjustments, so I can make the image darker, I can make the image lighter, more contrast, less contrast, sharpness, autofix. Okay, I've also got some different effects here. This duotone effect is really nice. I've got all kinds of different duotone color combinations that I can apply to my image. And then I've also got blur, pixelate, posterize effects, and things like that. Okay, if you want to save your image, go ahead and click save. It'll always make a copy. Next, let's take a look at the portraits. Okay, we'll click on the portraits tab right below the candidates here. And you'll see that we already have a few folders of portraits uploaded into the system. Portraits get imported using a feature called Portrait Import right here. Before you start importing your portraits, you need to have your full set of portraits along with an index file. The index file is called index.txt. It's a text file provided along with your portraits from your portrait photographer. The index file conforms to the PSPI standard for uploading your portraits along with all the data, including student names, teacher name, homeroom, and so forth. Once you've gathered your portraits, you'll click on Portrait Import, and the first step will be to locate that index file, and then the software will walk you through 4 steps for importing your portraits. You'll end up with all of your portraits uploaded and organized automatically into folders. I'll do a separate video that walks through this process step by step for the sake of time. A lot of times the portrait photographers will do these automatically before they turn over the software to the school. Okay, so that's portraits. The only time you'd use the upload feature here would be if you have an extra student that came in to school later on, you just want to quickly add them to the class or something like that. A couple other things up here, I can click print. If I click print, I can select a class and I can get proof of the entire class for the purpose of proofreading, okay, making sure everything's correct, making sure all of the students are represented and so forth. And it's just something you can print out in the classroom. And just like Candids, we've also got a search up here, and then we've also got the ability to copy and move portraits, delete, and so forth into different folders. What's unique about the portraits in the toolbar is we've also got this edit metadata button here that gives you access to all the metadata. The metadata is included in the index file. It could include period, teacher name, grade, job title for staff. All kinds of information can be available here. You can view the information here. You can also modify and add the information here. Okay, so this is just a full editable view of your actual index file. Also, you can click on the little preview icon next to any portrait, and you can move through and see all of the portraits, as well as all of their metadata. If the teachers are in the same folder, you can check this box to specify that this is a teacher portrait. Later on in the portrait wizard, this checkbox will override the alphabetical order and always put this teacher in the first position. If you have multiple teachers in a class, you can add an additional teacher portrait and also give them a priority, which determines the order that they flow onto the pages. Any changes that get made here to metadata, to portraits that have already been flowed onto pages, will automatically be updated on those pages. Also, if you've already flowed these portraits onto a page and on the page you make a change to the data, that will be updated here as well. And that really covers the portrait functionality. We'll move on down to photo post. Photo post is an optional feature that's a really great way for Yearbook Advisors to collect additional candid photos from friends and family, community members for potential inclusion in the yearbook, okay? So here's the way that it works. First thing you might want to do is make a new folder. So click on New Folder up here. And let's say we'll call this Halloween party. They had a Halloween party at school, and there were a couple of parents there that were taking lots and lots of photos, and we'd like to get our hands on some of those for the yearbook. So I'll make this folder, and then I can go ahead and do a couple things. I can click Invite, and I can type in the email addresses of those parents, and they'll get a message asking them to submit photos to the yearbook. That message will contain a link. They won't be able to see the yearbook, any other photos, or anything else. It's totally secure. They'll be able to upload their photos into this folder. Okay? The other thing that you can do is just copy the link. And so if you copy the link, it just copies it to my clipboard. And now you can just paste it into an email to share. And again, when they click on the link, they'll be taken back to this folder where they can click upload and upload their photos. Once a parent has uploaded photos, you can see them in here. You can view them, and you can view the notes that the parent may have entered about the image. And then you can decide if you want to use it in the yearbook software, in which case you'll move it from photo post into a candid or a portrait folder. Okay, so that's how easy it is. Private, a secure feature, really great way to obtain lots of extra candidates, and it's really flexible in terms of the way that you set it up. The next one down here is Google Drive. Okay, Google Drive is another way that you can get photos into the software. When I choose Google Drive, it'll ask me to log in through Google Drive, so I'll confirm my login. It's going to ask me to confirm that Photo Product Creator, which is our software, wants to access your Google account. So I'll go ahead and allow that. And now all of my photos in my Google account will start loading into the software. I can view them here and I can copy them into a folder to use in the software. Another great way to obtain lots and lots of candidates for use in your yearbook. Okay, finally, moving on down the list, the last tab we have here is clip art. And clip art allows you to create folders and upload your own custom clip art. The clip art that you load here could be mascots, your school logos, and things like that. And it will appear right alongside the normal clip art folders on the advanced design page. Okay, so another cool feature that allows you to customize, add your own clip art. If you use the software in subsequent years, you can add to this library of clip art. It'll be here the next year and the next. And that really covers all the functionality on Manage Photos. And next, let's go ahead and take a look at the Users page. This is the users page. On this page, an advisor can add and manage additional users and also track user activity. Okay, you can see I've got a few users in the software already, and you can see they've got different roles. When I add a user, I give them a role, and the role determines how much access they have to the software, as well as how much access they have to the book. To add a new user, we'll click the Add User up here at the top right, and then you'll first give the user a login ID. You do not have to use an email address for the login, okay? If you're a teacher and you use an email address, you can also set it up so that you receive various emails from the software when people check in sections and things like that. Then I'll put in first name, last name, confirm the password, and then we will add a user role, okay? The roles are defined right here. There are 5 different roles, and we'll walk through each one of them one at a time. If I take Nick here and I make him a viewer, okay? All that Nick will be able to do with his login to the software is view the preview on the activity page, okay? Nick can't check out any sections, he can't upload photos, pretty much anything else. And so the viewer is the lowest level of permissions. I usually call that the principal role. Somebody that has a vested interest in this book getting done. They want to pop in and take a peek every once in a while, but they're not really participating, okay? So that's the viewer role. Next role up is a photographer role. If I make Nick a photographer, then he can log in and he has access to the photos page where he can upload and organize photos. He can't edit any sections of the book. He's basically just dealing with the photos. So this is a great role for a photographer, whether it's a parent, whether it's a photography class student. You can make them a photographer and allow them to feed the site with photos without participant on the editing part. Okay, next is staff. This is probably the most common role for a student. When you assign someone as a staff member, you can also assign specific sections on the yearbook ladder for them to work on. Okay, so if I make Nick here a staff member, and I assign him to academics and field trips, when he goes to the yearbook ladder, he'll see the editing icon to check out and work on those 2 sections only. He won't be able to work on anything else. And so the staff role really is kind of the typical student role in a yearbook class. Next up, we have an editor. If I make Nick here an editor, Nick can now edit all of the sections and manage the book. So he's got full ladder functionality as well as the ability to open and work on any section in the book. He's got all the other above functionality too, uploading, organizing photos, and so forth. And then the highest level role is the advisor. The advisor is reserved for only the teacher, the main admin, whoever is responsible for ultimately approving and submitting that final book. The advisor has full access to everything in the software. The advisor is the only one that can approve and reject sections. They're actually the only ones that can even see those buttons on the ladder. The advisor is also the only one that can follow the submission process and submit the final book. Okay, so those are the two key differentiations with that advisor role. Okay, so if I make Nick an advisor, he has full access to the software here. So that is add users. We'll go ahead and click out of here. Let's look at another more active user here, and I'll show you what user settings look like. So we'll come in, look at user settings, and you can see this is actually me, and you can see my last login, the number of times I've logged in, and then you can also see I've got a complete activity log. And so everything I've ever done in this software is available right here as well. So that's the user settings and user info. And if you click on that for any user, you can also come in here and change their roles at any time. This is where you'll change their password. You can change their roles here. If you want to delete a user, you would also come in here and just click none for the roles and click OK. That user gets deleted. They can no longer log in again. All of the other work that they've done and so forth up to that point is still available. And that covers the Manage Users page. Just note that there's a lot of flexibility here. Just like within the ladder, you can use this in all kinds of ways depending on the size of your team and the nature of your project. You can have multiple staff members, as an example, that are elementary school students, and you can assign each one of them just to work on one page of the software. At the other end of the spectrum, you can have a yearbook class with 30 students. You can have photographers, copywriters, student editors, all teamed up together to run it like a publishing company with different assignments and different pieces that you own of the project, all working together to create the final yearbook. And so there's a lot of flexibility here. There's no minimum to the number of users you can have except for one, and there is no maximum to the number of users that you can have here. Okay. And now let's move on to the sales page. The sales page is only available on the link bar over here if you have the storefront active in this software. If the storefront is not active, selling books and ads online, you will not see this icon. When this icon is available, when the storefront is active, this page is only seen by somebody that has advisor level privileges. Okay, so basically this is the sales report. Storefront allows you to sell yearbooks, yearbook ads, and some other things online on a site that corresponds to your yearbook software. And this allows you to come in and get your sales totals. Okay, summary is just a quick summary report as of today. Detailed report allows me to see a lot more detail on specific products. I can run reports on certain date periods. And I can also add offline orders. And so if people purchase yearbooks in the school with a paper check, you can enter that information here as well so that it all becomes part of the same report. Okay, and that covers the sales reporting page. Next, let's take a look at the configure page, which is also called the advisor configuration page. The primary purpose of this page is to allow the advisor to configure what content is available on the site so that users of the site don't have to weed through a massive amount of content while they're designing their book. And the best part about this is that you can focus on just one or two particular themes for your book and control the style of the book when you have the designers working all together. Okay, so here's how this works. All the different content components available up here will start with theme. Okay, I look at every theme and I can see little previews of what the theme looks like. I can see theme information over here. This is also available on the advanced design page as well as in the corresponding content guide. I can uncheck all of the themes and only check the themes I want available in the software. Okay, this book I'm using Artistry. That's the only thing I want to be available. I click Artistry and click Save the Theme Set. So now on the Advanced Design page, this is the only theme that's available. When I select the Artistry theme, it also makes only the backgrounds used in Artistry, which is watercolors, available as well. So it turned off all of the other background categories because they're irrelevant. Again, you can enable individual background categories or subcategories and check all, uncheck all, and so forth here. Any changes you make, go ahead and click Save. Moving over, 250 Google fonts this year have been added to the software. Okay, and they're organized by sans serif, serif, script, title fonts, and then miscellaneous fonts. And again, you can make only the fonts that you want to use available. When you activate a theme, the fonts for the theme automatically become available. Okay, so again, you can control the font selection to make a smaller selection, really to streamline and simplify things for the designers, and it makes a much better overall book. Clip art works exactly the same way. Elements, exactly the same way. Okay. And finally, another feature here is page numbers. Page numbers allows you to add and update the page numbers on your book. This is a feature that can be turned on or off by your yearbook publisher or your admin. If you're an advisor and you come here and you don't see page number update functionality, you can check with your yearbook provider and they can do that for you. Here's how it works. This is the page number position. I can decide where the page numbers go in the book. For example, bottom center of the pages. The margin from the edge of the page. Check with your yearbook provider on this. Make sure that you have enough margin. In this case, the page numbers are 1/2 inch from the edge of the page. Font size, style of the page number, and then whether you want them outlined. Outline is a good idea because page numbers can go over the top of content. And that's it. Click Update, and it will automatically update all the page numbers in the book. However, I'm getting a warning right now. What's it saying? I can't modify page numbers because I've got sections checked out, complete, or review. Okay, important point. You can only update page numbers when all sections are in progress. So nobody can be working on the book and no pages can be reviewed at this time because what it's going to actually do is go through and modify all the sections on the book. Okay, so if you are going to update page numbers, make sure they're all in progress first, or you're going to see this message. Easy enough, and that covers the advisor configuration page. With that, I think we are about finished with our advisor user training video. Thank you for sticking around. I hope it's been helpful to you. I know that there's a ton of stuff here, but I hope you also can see that it's pretty easy to work your way through. Use the help menu. This will bring up a full user guide. Use the video help. This will bring up a tutorial on every single page of the software. Use the knowledge base, the documentation, the content guide, and your support contacts that are available to you. Most of all, have fun with it and have a wonderful yearbook season. Thanks again for joining and have a great rest of your day.